everybody, I'm here in Palo Alto at Rivian's very first Autonomy and AI Day. Behind me, we have a developer like prototype R2, and if you look at the design aesthetic here, what does this remind you of? R2, D2, get it? Yeah, they're not producing this, but we're gonna talk about some of the big announcements that happen here because they're doing stuff that no one in the industry is doing right now. The first big announcement that they talked about is RJ came on stage to greet the crowd, but Rivian is making their own chip, their own in-house developed silicon for autonomy. So this is going to be a processor, right? It's a 5nm processor from TSMC that is going to power the autonomy features on this vehicle. Now, why is that groundbreaking? Well, it's going to be dedicated, it's going to be optimized, they're going to be able to do hardware and software features because of this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean here. Now, we have the R2 here. One of the things that is going to really stand out here, yes, you have your standard cameras, you have your radars on the four corners. Like we've seen that in cars before, but what we haven't seen in many cars here is a LiDAR sensor that's really smoothly integrated. That's going to be up top here, all right? Now we know that some manufacturers said, hey, LiDAR costs too much, it doesn't add value, but what the main thing here is you're going to be able to get better real-time depth, and then in dark situations, that LiDAR sensor, right, it's in active light, so you're going to get more accurate responses for some of these new self-driving features. Now, this new chip that we're talking about, it will only be coming first in the R2, all right? So that's the first platform that's going to have their next generation of autonomy. And what are some of the benefits of that? Well, you're first going to get, right now for Gen 2, R1T and R1S vehicles, you're going to be able to get ultimate hands-free. And what that means is when you're driving, it'll still track your gaze. We tested this out before, but what you can do now, it supports up to 3.5 million miles of road here in the US. Previously, it was around 150,000 miles. There were times when I tested out where it said, oh, you know, you got to pay attention, put your hands back on the steering wheel. But now, so many more roads are mapped out that you're going to really be able to use this vehicle hands-free in a lot of different places. Also, the next step after that will be in 2026. This vehicle, specifically with this hardware that we're talking about and software, will be able to do point-to-point directions. And then beyond that, we're talking about level 4 autonomy, where this could be your own car without a driver, picking you up, dropping you off. These are all features that are going to be part of their Autonomy Plus package. And what really stood out is when they announced that Autonomy Plus package will be either $2,500 a flat fee or $49 per month. You compare that to someone like Tesla, who's right now their full self-driving package is $8,000, $99 per month. Even Elon said that with new features, they might have to increase the cost. That's already a killer value proposition right there as well. Another thing they showed off here is, for the first time, the Rivian Assistant. Now, we've seen assistants on our phones, we've seen what Google's Gemini is capable of, but for a car, what really stood out here is, first they did an example of, hey, Rivian, you know, get me directions to this location. That's gonna be pretty standard, but then it started doing a lot more complex things. Looking at my Google Calendar, right? Being tied into specific apps because they do have a partnership with Google for their maps. So Google Calendar, being able to identify an appointment and then change it through the car. But then the biggest thing is, this is built not just as a generic assistant to talk to your phone, but it's built for the car. So think of this, you don't want to go through punching through menus to figure out how to set the seat warmers. You don't want to punch through menus to how to put into conserve mode. You can just tell the car, basically, hey, save energy on my drive, and it does all that. So it's a new level of understanding context built in this car. If you're talking about messaging, being able to pick out locations for a restaurant, sending that to a friend, and then telling your ETA, it did all this. I think the Rivian Assistant is really the AI assistant that we all dreamed of having in our car. They did a live demo here. It wasn't pre-scripted or, you know, pre-recorded. That was also something that stood out, and that's going to be available to Gen 1 Rivian owners, Gen 2 Rivian owners, and then obviously R2 and beyond. So just a lot of really cool announcements. I think the biggest and most exciting thing is about all these sensors and all these features. We actually got to try it out, so I'm going to show you a little trip and a little more details about everything they announced here. We got to sit down with James Philbin, the VP of Autonomy and AI, and just check it out. All right. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go.
What we're going to see today is basically an engineering demo of a brand new system we're working on called the Large Driving Model. We've been working on this for a while, actually, basically since the launch of Gen 2. And with the launch of Gen 2, we had we built this idea of the data flywheel kind of into the whole system. So every Gen 2 vehicle is able to record data, send it back to the cloud, and that can get incorporated, it can get learned upon. So essentially, LDM is a system that is trained end-to-end from sensor data all the way through to driving actions. And so this is not a completed product or anything like that. This is really an engineering demo, but we're really excited by how much progress we've been making on this system. And so, yeah, happy to show it to you. Okay. So what you'll see today is basically a point-to-point demo. So we've put in essentially a loop that ends up back here. And yeah, the system will follow the route, make turns, respect traffic lights, change lanes, do essentially the full driving task. And all of that's been learned kind of end to end from our customer driving data.
We have systems that also have full self-driving in here. With this demo, are you guys doing, from a technology standpoint, whether it's the systems you have in place or the data that's being captured, maybe how does it differ or maybe how it's similar?
So yeah, I mean, we don't really know what other competitors are doing. I think we're just laser focused on our approach. It seems to be making incredibly rapid progress. I would say one good thing about the Gen 2 stack is the use of multiple modalities, which really gives us like a richer set of data. So we can essentially get to the same level of performance as maybe other unimodal systems with actually less data, or with the same amount of data, we can surpass the performance. So yeah.
For my mom watching, multimodal, when it's in regards to driving, what are some of those inputs?
Yeah, so you can imagine cameras, that's one mode, right? So that's essentially a passive light sensor. But on every R1 Gen 2, we also have 360-degree coverage with radar. So that's actually sending out radio waves. They're bouncing off objects, and you record, how long that takes. That essentially gives you this sort of depth map around the vehicle. So we use an early fusion-based approach where all of those sensor data is fed in. There's no extra complexity or extra rules or anything like that. It's all learned end to end through the model. So the model figures out, okay, how should I use all this different data in the best way?
I mean, this is already fun.
Yeah.
I'm imagining this in my future Rivian.
There you go. Yeah.
In my future Rivian, because I do have a Gen 1. I know the technology in here is specific to Gen 2.
Yep.
That's being able to collect all this information to do this.
Yep.
How, obviously you're not going to release an official date, but how far are you? This is an engineering demo.
Yep.
As you said, how far out are you for actually bringing this to market for users?
We'll be announcing our universal hands-free feature, which will be coming out this month to our Gen 2 customers. So that essentially takes we had Enhanced Highway Assist, which was our hands-free feature we launched earlier this year. And that was 135,000 miles. They were basically mapped, divided highways in the US and Canada. And with universal hands-free, we're expanding that to more than 3.5 million. So a huge increase over what we had before. Essentially, any well-marked road in the US or Canada, you can drive that hands-free with that UHF system. Now, although it's built on the similar neural network backbone as the system you see here, LDM is additionally trained on top of that to really regress the full driving task. And that isn't currently part of UHF. But we think this is a foundational technology that will start to ship as part of other features next year.
See, we even had a car turn
suddenly brake,
We felt right, and normally my instinct would be like, right, but the car handled it.
Yeah.
Which is great, which is what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Is there anything when, you and your team are around this all this time, is there anything that maybe you want to highlight that people outside of Rivian's walls, people that are new to this idea of self-driving cars, maybe things they may not notice or take for granted that you're like, this is why this is impressive, right?
Yeah, well actually that was a great example. So you saw that we actually slowed for, that speed bump. And what we noticed actually when we first started testing this system, it wasn't slowing for speed bumps. It was just going kind of full, normal speed over them. And so what we did is we actually mined for, speed bump cases among the customer vehicle fleet. And, very rapidly you're getting tens of thousands of scenarios back from the whole country. You feed them back into the model, and now that behavior is happening, right? So that's really the power of that data flywheel, where we can go from, okay, I need more examples of this scenario, to actually gathering those at scale, and then feeding that back into our models through end-to-end training.
Other announcements from today?
Yeah, other announcements from today. So we also announced LiDAR on R2. So, just as I was talking about the multimodal approach we had, even on Gen 2 with camera and radar, on R2 we're taking that, even further to camera, radar, and LiDAR. And, we think LiDAR will really enable an eyes-off feature. We're not announcing that today, but it's going to support that eyes-off feature down the road.
So from what I remember with highway assistance, you can do eyes-off temporarily. So you're saying entirely eyes-off, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we have today, hands-free system, so you can actually take your hands off the wheel. But we're using the driver attention detection system to make sure that your eyes are still on the road. With a true eyes-off system, you could essentially take your eyes off entirely. You could do anything you want, right? You could watch Netflix on the screen. You could, catch up on work. You could, and so I think, that's really, we think, going to be a massively popular, customer feature and really important to get to. And that's something that, that extra safety, that extra redundancy you get from that additional modality, that really, really helps.
I did read, because obviously we're always on the internet, that, and you can correct me if I say this incorrectly, but I did read that in a recent interview, RJ talked about how the entire fleet will be self-driving was it without a person by 2030? Is that what the mention was?
I'm not exactly sure what quote that was. I mean, what I would say is I think that this technology is advancing very quickly. We've built the stack really from the get-go to kind of support those higher levels of autonomy, right? So as we gain confidence, as we get more data, we put more stuff through simulation, we add LiDAR, all of these things are kind of building blocks that really get us to that much higher level of, yes, eventually driver out autonomy. Which would be great, right? Imagine you get out of the airport and your Rivian goes off and parks, or you can send it somewhere, or you can go and do pickup. I mean, it'd be amazing.
I mean, with all the stuff that you've seen, do you feel that's, I'm not asking for an official date, but do you feel that's actually within the realm of reality, like viability?
I do, yeah, I do. I mean, I think there's a number of pieces that go into that, obviously. So, but from the redundancies we built into the system, the sensor modalities and placement we've designed, the ability of the new compute, which were also announced today, our new in-house silicon. Rivian's been actually hard at work for several years now on like an in-house silicon, specifically for autonomy. And at the core of that is something called the NNE, which is this neural network engine, which is designed to run these types of large models very efficiently. And so it's really been designed from autonomy because that team is in-house. We're sort of co-designing the whole system with the silicon team, so it's like very, very efficient. We can build the model that really fits the chip and the chip that fits the model. And so it really gives us a huge, efficiency, flexibility. It's a big cost saving as well. And when this launches, this will be, one of the most powerful, computers in any car. Certainly in the West.
Well, I mean, we've known from the beginning, Rivian has always wanted to control the entire stack and really be able to customize it however you want. I've seen as a personal user the advantages of it. Like people, the number one question, and I know you get it and I get it, why? It doesn't have CarPlay. And I tell them, you need to use this system before you instantly assume that you need that, because the way that you have laid out the features that are truly custom to how the vehicle operates, you wouldn't want that covered up. And there is no hybrid. So, clearly, have you seen a lot of the advantages now with both the partnership of you in-house doing silicon and software, and maybe small ways that it's manifested itself to you, like, wow, this has become even more powerful than we had before? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, that ability to build everything in-house means that you can move much faster, right? So it's actually hard to coordinate with all these different tier ones and tier twos that typical OEMs would have to do to ship an update, right? So something even as simple as changing the way the seat controls work, that may be a really complicated thing to do at most OEMs. For us, because all that software is in-house, we can make those changes much more easily. So I mean, we can, on this system, when we push an OTA, we can update everything from the lowest level camera drivers all the way to the highest level motion planning code, really improve every piece of it. And so that's why, with Gen 2, and then even more now with R2, with LiDAR and our in-house silicon, we're really sort of providing the hardware that can enable these much higher levels of software that you improve over time, right? So that's kind of a very important part of the strategy. the Gen 2s that are on the road, they're capable of very high levels of autonomy. And, we're just building the software to get there. So what do you think of the demo so far, Brian?
Well, I mean, I do, as an owner,
Yeah.
I love the fact that this is obviously a peak in the future, but everything we've experienced, right, just from a hands-free standpoint, it's been smooth. We haven't had any hiccups or anything like that have shown themselves.
It's kind of uneventful, so it's like...
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
The fact that it's uneventful is what makes it so good.
Yeah.
Right? On that note, I'm curious, what do you think is maybe a misconception by consumers, or what they may not understand about this idea of autonomy? Because you're in this all the time, but when you talk to people, I'm sure you're like, oh, you just don't get this aspect of why this is the way. Like, is there something in your field that you feel like the consumer that is looking for a vehicle today doesn't necessarily understand about autonomy?
I think just how quickly these systems are improving. And, if you buy your vehicle every 7 years or whatever it is, you may actually be multiple generations of autonomy behind. And so I think that's kind of probably interesting to most customers who are not like super dialed into the tech all the time, is just how quickly these cars are advancing. 7 years is, wow, I just think about the system 7 years ago, they could barely stay in the lane, right? And now they're doing this entire driving task. So I think that's really incredible, the progress. And super excited to get this, into the hands of more customers. And I think with R2, that platform will be much more accessible, obviously, because it's a lower price point. And so we'll get features like this into the hands of even more customers. So that's really exciting.
I'm also excited when these start flying. So you can let me know when that demo comes up.
Are we announcing that today, Evan? Or
No.
Okay. That's under embargo.
Just checking. All right. That's good. But no, this has been awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, so that was really cool, spending time with James and really understanding and feeling out the experience in the car. But here at Autonomy and AI Day at Rivian, look, a lot of things stand out. These cars are more like a smartphone on wheels than ever before, with continuous software and update features. I think what stands out here from today is we really got us peek into the future of what Rivian is doing, specifically with the R2 that is coming out in 2026. We have Rivian doing their own silicon. We have Rivian really investing and laying out the roadmap for their future self-driving features. The Autonomy Plus plan, $2,500 flat fee, $49 a month. From a value standpoint of what else is out there in the competition, no, that is a huge breakthrough. And then the Rivian Assistant, being able to understand me. We've seen a lot of assistants, right? But to have that in a car, plugged into your apps and services, and be able to interact with that, that's taking things to another level. So I can't wait to get my hands on all this stuff, play around with it, and you know what? You can always come back to the channel for more fun Rivian content. As an owner, I want the new goodies. As a tech observer, I love what they're doing, and they're really pushing and moving this category forward, and that's all you can ask for. So until next time, we'll see you.